Kept you waiting, huh? Well, that's right, we are back after a very, very, very long hiatus, I know. Very sorry about all that, but we're back. Finally. That's right, yours truly, Bloke Fattoler, whatever I'm called, is back hosting the show, along with my friends Rick.
What up, Nads?
Definitive Dubs.
Hello.
Panther.
Hi.
Introducing Schloz.
Shishoze.
Schlong.
Schloz.
We can do schlong. I mean, that works.
No, we'll go Schloz. I like Schloge. Schloge. Negative Man.
Oh, yeah, you got it right this time.
Shut up. And Squibzog.
Howdy.
Yep, we're all back, and just to do a little bit of a house cleaning work, so to speak, from now on, we shall do this fortnightly, i.e. every 2 weeks. That'll give us enough time to be flexible, and also for me to catch up with all the editing stuff every other week, and hopefully we'll be running perfectly consistently throughout the rest of the year for the time being. Hopefully. I can't promise anything. But anyway, South by Southwest, the Sonic panel, which featured, among others, Tashaki Izuka, I can't pronounce his name anymore, Izuka, good old Izuka, Tyson Hess, Jennifer Hernandez, no, not Jennifer Hernandez, hello? You're very...
Hello.
Yeah, you're just very quiet.
Waiting on you to...
It's Hernandez.
For a pause.
It's not Jen, I don't think. It's some Hernandez.
In any case, I would also like to say for the people listening that they should bear with me because I did not see this panel due to some unfortunate circumstances. So
okay,
I may have to have everything explained to me.
It's okay, nobody pays attention to you anyway.
Oh, don't.
Oh, look, I have to baby you again.
Yeah, I apologies, everyone. It's just honestly the reason why it's been such a while is because my computer died like 2 months ago. Motherboard died, and I'm a little rusty. We all are, I think, and it is quite interesting looking at a computer for 2 months. Certainly in this day and age. I mean, a few years ago that'd been absolutely fine, but not anymore. Actually, I'm fine. It was alright, not too bad, but just dull and tedious at times when you couldn't get to important documents you needed. But, c'est la vie. Anyway, back to our little panel adventure. We have quite a lot to talk about, actually. We've got Mania Plus, which is perhaps the biggest announcement we've had so far. Oh, and of course, lots of memes by Aaron Webber, of course. He actually alluded to us having bingo cards, which is... yeah, all right. Actually, did anyone else have a bingo card with them while they were watching?
Of course.
Yeah.
I didn't get any bingos on mine, I'm sad to say. But, yeah, Mania Plus, we are getting a physical release of Sonic Mania, which is good news for people who haven't bought it yet, and bad news for anybody who just bought it today, or yesterday, or whenever, before it was, actually in shops. Yeah,
I pre-ordered the PC version. This whole thing has been pain for me.
Wait, is there a PC physical release of Sonic Mania Plus?
No,
Nope.
I pre-ordered the special edition, so when the special edition finally showed up, the code didn't work because the game got pushed back 2 weeks, and then when it finally got released, it was with the new vote. It didn't work.
I'm gonna want it on Switch, so...
We should discuss the part of the issue with the original release, and now they're having an actual physical release. So
the most important thing about the physical release, which you failed to mention, is that it has a shiny box.
Oh yes, of course, yeah, with the reversible sleeve.
the reversible sleeve is actually the most exciting part.
Box.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm really excited having a physical release, except for the fact that I now have to buy a PS3 or PS4 or a Switch, which is, I mean, I don't know, I just don't really want a console. I got a PC, even if it breaks sometimes. But the other big piece of news is that Ray and Mighty will be playable, although I was thinking to myself when I saw that, gee, Amy fans must be really annoyed at this.
Probably.
Yes, we are.
But I think the thing is, she would probably be a lot harder to implement than either Mighty or Ray.
Well, I mean,
Really? Not to
really?
mention in terms of chronology, she's a little bit later in the series. I mean, the classic's kind of pandering to an earlier crowd. Probably.
I think it is
back.
I think it has more to do with the fact that making Amy and Metal Sonic playable at this point is just predictable as all get out.
No one said and Metal Sonic, to be fair, but
No, because I thought I read something about like they originally planned to have Amy and Metal Sonic, but they changed it to Mighty and Ray. But anyway, either way, what I mean is that you could have those characters which have always been like staples of here's other playable Sonic characters, but everyone like if you're gonna have multiple playable Sonic characters, everyone expects those like by default, and it's very boring at this point. Like it reminds me of when Mega Man X got remade as Maverick Hunter X. Instead of having Zero be playable for like the umpteenth time, they made Vile playable for the first time, and like this is the first time that Mighty and Ray have been playable since Sega Sonic Arcade, which I think is pretty exciting. And it's, I don't know, I think it's a more creative decision than Amy.
I think it's also
Probably
worth
an easy
noting
decision.
that Amy presented a number of design problems because most people expected her shtick to be that she can't roll up into a ball, which heavily contradicts a lot of core design philosophy with classic Sonic games. Also, choosing characters like Mighty and Ray allows them a lot more creative freedom with how their movesets should be. Mighty technically has an established moveset for classic Sonic games, but I think it's very easy to expect them to change it.
what is Mighty's moveset exactly?
He's basically Sonic and Knuckles Chaotix, except he can wall jump like a Mega Man X, but way faster and broken.
Oh, and what's Ray going to be? Bubsy?
No, Ray's going to
Probably.
come with this big USB ball adapter, and you have to roll it, just like in the arcade.
Another reason that I think they added those two is because they just might be a little bit more easy to implement, because I can very easily see them just being incredibly similar to other characters who are already in the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Especially Ray, because there's already someone who glides.
But there's also like going to be a 4-player competition mode and an encore mode, so yeah, it's going to be quite interesting, and it's releasing for only $30, which is really, really good price, so you have no excuse not to buy it. Although, I don't know, for those of us who bought on the PC, it's a bit, I'm slightly cheesed off we aren't getting a PC physical release. I know someone said, why do you want to buy something on a PC physical release these days? But I don't know, is it any different from, say, buying a console physical release? Not really.
PC was really let down in the Mania release, because first off, they had that 2-week delay for De Nouveau from Sega Europe, which is just complete crap right from the very beginning. So you had that 2-week delay, you had codes not working, you had problems with the collector's edition, and on top of that, there's no physical PC release. It really feels like PC gamers are getting snubbed with this a bit. I understand that maybe Sega's trying to maybe pander to the console crowd, but I mean, that seems kind of... Sure, I get that. But not to mention there's also the question of packaging, because there's no default PC packaging aside from maybe a DVD, a standard-sized DVD case.
DVD box. Why not go back to the 90s and have one of those really old, big cardboard boxes?
I was just about to suggest that. I would love to have a huge... old, like what they don't even make shelves that fit those anymore. I mean, you can't fit that on a standard bookshelf, I don't think. I mean, it's...
I mean, not like a cardboard box, but like the high quality like Genesis boxes that snap shut.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Hey, maybe you could go real nostalgic and have a piece of crap jewel case that breaks easily.
But that's what you have the big cardboard box, and then you have the tiny jewel case. That's how it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have my Command and Conquer box and the expansion thing. Oof, God, like the secret.
I still have the
missions.
box to the Nintendo 64.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So yeah, we're getting a physical release of Sonic Mania, and everybody's really happy about this, I suppose. I mean, I'm happy.
Now let me ask this about Mighty being playable. The dev team is deeply rooted in the Sonic hacking community. So will they make Mighty like he is in Sonic Mega Mix, where he can store shields?
Yes. I don't know. So I didn't really. What do you mean you can store shields? How does that work?
What it means is that basically when he hits his shield box, he doesn't actually activate it immediately. It goes into an inventory. And you can store 5 of them. And it can be shields, it can be invincibility, or speed shoes. Basically any item box. I think you can store rings too.
Sounds like he's pretty vulnerable.
Broken.
Maybe, but the downside is that he doesn't jump as high, if I remember right.
Oh, okay. Like Knuckles.
And he has the Sonic 1 speed cap.
Okay, sure. I mean that could be interesting, but I somehow doubt that they would go that far in terms of, changing things up. But, you never know. I mean, and also I think it's worth noting that just because Amy wasn't announced doesn't mean that she isn't going to be, playable, because I'm sure that they would try, at least because she is a fairly, she is popular. I mean,
well, she's the last character from the classic series to show up, right? I mean, even Knack or Fan got in, and he's from the Game Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure if Sega doesn't do it officially, modders will.
Oh yeah, of course. But again, that's sort of not really going to be a thing on. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Are they going to? I think they will have to release a Steam DLC or something for Mania Plus.
Well, they've already announced that it's going to be all the changes to the game will be released free for the various systems. So if you've already bought the game, you're getting the updates to the game itself. At least that was my understanding from listening to the panel.
If I recall, they said it would be very fairly cheap, not free.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Fairly cheap is still better than nothing.
It's still, considering though how especially PC gamers were left out in the initial release. That's kind of...
Well, you can't have everything. Anyway,
Wait, so does that mean there's going to be a DLC for the PC version that lets you pick up Ray and Mighty and stuff?
I guess so.
Now that double cheeses me off, because I'm still going to have to buy the physical, because it comes with an art book.
Does it come with an art book? Oh, yes, it does come with an art book.
Yeah, you get an art book, reversible cover, and then, most importantly, of course, the shiny box.
I just want a manual, an actual printed manual.
Yeah, they're going to have a manual.
The one that they released in the... I think it was for either a convention or...
Yeah, it was a convention.
Yeah, I really wanted one of those, and I was kind of... Just for that, I would have bought a physical release.
No manual in the collector's edition was a weird move.
Not only that, but I heard the lights don't even work in the collector's edition.
The light, when they shipped it, the light is disconnected, but you can open it and just connect it and turn the light on and make it functional. It's like a 2-minute job.
It seems enormously lazy, but
now literally the guy on the conveyor belt line was off that day and let them all go by without connecting.
Yes.
Did I hear it right that PC owners are going to get Plus as cheap DLC?
Yes, you did.
Okay, that's neat, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I don't know. Pick it up for Switch or PS4. I guess I'll just get a copy, and at least I'll have that to admire on my shelf until I actually get a console. Anyway, let's just quickly move on to the other sort of Mania news, which was Mania Adventures. There are going to be 5 animated shorts done by Tyson Hess et others. I don't know who exactly. I forget who was mentioned, but they look pretty neat. We saw a little clip of that at the panel. Any comments? I mean,
was that the 30-second thing?
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't the 30-second thing. It was a completely different thing you saw, Rick.
I was going to say, because I missed the panel, so I've seen the 30-second thing online, and I know there's going to be, say, 5. I think there's 5 of them coming, but I never got to see how long they were going to be.
I would assume
I think they're going to be I imagine they're going to be 10 minutes at most. I mean,
probably 5.
But I said at most, not,
Oh, sorry.
I assume,
in that case, I'm interested.
Here's a quick point of order. Can we consider this to be sort of maybe sticking the toe into the water for a longer animation series? Or, I mean, it seems like Sega, at least from what I've seen at this last panel, they are actually listening to some of what the fans are asking for the first time, and I can't even remember how long.
I think they've always been listening. I mean, The problem is that they listen too hard sometimes. That we want story in our Sonic games. Okay, take this Sonic Forces story, and it's sort of all over the place. I think they do listen. It's hard at times to actually.
Sure.
Well,
the fan base is so split that listening to the Sonic fan base doesn't really tell you a whole lot.
Because everyone's yelling in separate directions about separate things,
and it's almost like nobody's actually right about it.
What do you mean? I'm always right.
It's almost like you actually have to know how to develop a video game instead of listening to fans tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, but yes, I think Schloss is onto something here. I think it's possible that they might be thinking of developing their own series. I think Panzer made a good point when he said, like, Mania has become its own franchise, so to speak.
What I was about to say.
Yeah, it does seem that way, and I suppose Mania is a better way of talking about it than, say, classic Sonic, which just makes it sound like actually, when Sonic was still good, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm pretty sure Boom's tying up and they're not going to make any more episodes. So if
you're talking about when Sonic was good, then how come SA2 was in classic Sonic?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the Boom thing was all over the place. The games were, to my understanding, I never played either of them.
They're bad.
But my understanding is that the games were mediocre at best, so they're not really worth continuing a franchise over. The reception was lukewarm. It was just all across the board. It wasn't really liked, except for I think some of the comics and were generally
well received.
Yeah, exactly. The cartoon was very well done, but it seems like they're just going to have to abandon another continuity at this point, and it seems like they should.
Don't count the chickens before they've hatched. I'd say. I mean, I think it's unlikely we'll ever see a game again, but I don't know. I think they may do a third season because it's possible, but at the same time, I think you're right.
To what end? I mean, what end would that lead to? Like, it seems like a dead end sort of cul-de-sac for them to continue making seasons of Sonic Boom. If it's just they're not going to have any games, they're not going to have any comics. It's just that
toys.
one.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if it apparently they Sonic Boom toys sell fairly well, so I guess it's enough reason for them to try. I mean, the toy market is fairly big. It's one of their avenues, and I guess I just say I don't think it's worth writing off Sonic Boom yet. I will say the writing is looking like it's on the wall, but at the same time, they did like mention Sonic Boom at some point on the panel. I can't remember when.
I believe it was during the Q&A.
Yeah, but it was, I think before the Q&A even. I don't.
I wonder if we're gonna get Sonic Mania stuff like in the same way that we got a lot of Sonic Boom stuff because the physical release is probably like testing the water for how popular this thing would be, like in a non-digital market.
The same thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it just confuses me how many different ways that Sega is trying to make Sonic this multimedia giant again right after Forces.
They're really kind of. It seems to me like they're listening. Sega's realizing that because of the fan reaction to Mania, it was, as far as I know, it was considerably overwhelming compared to Forces. So it seems to me like they're finally starting to talk to people, or at least get some employees at Sega that know why this is popular, and know how to continue that. Because it's clear that Sega of Japan, at the very least, doesn't really understand what. I don't want to say core fans, but a good chunk of the American market wants from this or expects from this series. So it seems like they're getting the team with Tyson Hess, Hernandez, even Aaron Weber. He's sort of the community liaison, and he's sort of translating this, I guess, because he's clearly he knows what to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, he knew
knows
about
what
the
people
bingo
are talking
cards.
about. I mean, that was clear pandering to the general. I believe the general. I don't know if that's. I'm only familiar with bingo cards from that context, but I'm assuming he was pandering directly to the general thread, which was.
So we don't really talk about the general.
I don't know what you're talking about. The thing on that website that shall not be named.
Yeah.
The clear pandering to those disgusting reprobates.
Exactly.
Yes,
the real.
Well, I think bingo cards were floated around everywhere. But, beside the point. The point is, Aaron Webber was on top meme form, which I absolutely despise saying. But yeah, I mean, you could tell. They had that joke, like Sonic Schoolhouse 2 2050 release. On 32X. Yeah, I can't wait either. I mean, I'm going to dust off my 32X. Yeah.
It feels like they're following Ian Flynn's lead as far as being, canon. Just like knowing everything about the lore, knowing everything about the canonical.
It's interesting listening to Tyson Hess talk about Sonic Adventures, Sonic Mania Adventures, in regards to he said that. There are a lot. I've watched all the 90s cartoons. I've seen these songs, and I like bits and pieces of them. But I want to make my own take on this. And I think watching, while it's clear that the biggest influence on his style of Sonic in animation is Sonic CD, he does, I think, incorporate elements of, his own spin on it. He's got, a slightly, as he said, like a cuter design. He did some really good. Facial expressions, which I think you can actually get on the Sega store, like a poster of Tails' model sheet, which was quite, really fun to see. I mean, that's the things which we like out of these panels.
That's the kind of, I was very glad that he even addressed that, because a lot of the canon, Sega just considers persona non grata, or the equivalent of, and canonically. So you have, like the Adventures of, and Saturday, Sat AM, and a lot of the different canons. And they weren't directly addressed here. They weren't named directly, but it was sort of referred to, saying, there's been a lot of different canons, a lot of different ways of looking at this, and people have come into the fold, into this particular fandom from a lot of different directions. This is what we're doing. We're going to try to at least understand that happened, try to respect it moving forward, but we're going to go in our own direction. And I was glad that Tyson, thank you. Tyson has at least addressed that when talking about that, because it's clear he was influenced by early Archie. He was influenced by, as you said, the OVA and the Sega CD. Yeah. And I hope it's
Sonic CD, not Sega. Well, Sega CD.
I'm sorry.
He was influenced by all those F&B games on the Sega CD. Yeah, he really played close attention. What's that basketball game? Hoops of Rage or whatever it was.
It's very obvious the influence that Night Trap had on Sonic Mania.
Oh yes, and
Time Gal,
Sewer Shark. You cannot forget Sewer Shark.
Oh no, can't forget Sewer Shark.
So one of the things I wanted to mention,
Dark Meat or whatever it was. Oh gosh.
So one of the things I was hoping to mention before when we were talking about Mania is, if you actually take a look, and this ties into what we were saying about all the influential stuff, Ray's design has blue shoes. And the blue shoes are apparently a nod to the Archie version of Ray.
Really?
Who has blue boots. Because of the original Sega Sonic, Ray has the same shoes as Mighty, red and white. And apparently the blue in his shoes, it seems like, Ian was saying that it seems like it's a nod to when they redesigned the characters for Archie, which seems like, they're actually, if not directly acknowledging it, at least pulling something from it. Because it kind of works, right? Like, he looks good with the blue shoes, but it's odd when you see the three of them lined up and he's the only one that doesn't.
I would like to.
It wouldn't be the first time that Mania referenced something from Archie, because Team
touch
Hooligan.
His blue suede shoes, then I guess.
But negative. What was that about? Not the first, because I'm not familiar with any other.
This isn't the first time that Mania has alluded to Archie references, because Team Hooligan did not actually have any association prior to Archie,
is that more
other
Archie?
than the fact that they were all in Sonic the Fighters.
Yeah, I was about to mention.
Really?
Is that more so Sonic the Fighters?
Except Fang originated elsewhere.
That's true.
Fang was from...
Also, Bean and Bark went on to appear in something else entirely separate
like
from
Dynamite
Fang.
Ducks, or something like that.
Dynamite Ducks,
Where they have a
and there
human
was
girlfriend.
also another fighter by the Fighting Vipers team that included Bean and Bark, because those were technically their characters.
Yes. What else? Well, there was a very interesting Q&A where a lot of people really grilled Azuka. Well, I wouldn't say grilled Azuka, but just gave him really awkward questions like, why don't we have Hypersonic anymore? And, where's Silver and stuff like that? And it's interesting.
But what do you mean? Where's Silver? He was just in Forces.
Yeah, but people want more Silver, and the interesting thing is, he did say that we are considering something with Silver. I think he said something like that, if I remember correctly. Which is, encouraging, I guess. I don't know, maybe just said that. And there was also a couple of people who tried to shield their own, art convention or something, which is rather embarrassing. It's funny that I think Panzer said this, the kids always have the best questions on those, Q&As.
I was actually saying that, too. I was actually talking in the thread about that. The kids actually care, and they ask, the hard questions. A kid asked about Michael Jackson in Sonic 3, and we got to watch...
Oh, gosh, we actually got Izuka.
We got to watch Izuka squirm when he asked that, and it was glorious. But
I'm glad that question was asked, but I'll be honest, I missed most of the Q&A.
Why would Izuka not like Michael Jackson questions?
It brings
legal
up
questions. Awkward legality regarding rights.
It's a bit like asking Ken Penders about legal stuff, or Ian Flynn
exactly
legal stuff. It's just sort of
you try explaining to a little kid that you let off one of the most influential pop artists of all time from your project because he did Michael Jackson.
He
things.
Touched people like you.
Well, he also, a lot of it was also, my understanding was creative differences also, but...
Michael Jackson didn't like how the Sega sound chip was, which, to be fair, isn't exactly wrong.
He didn't stop working on it because of that, he just didn't want to be credited. So...
Yeah.
Brad Bucks are probably...
But basically, what I was going to get at was that, the kids ask these hard questions, but when the adults get up there, they just say something really stupid. Or they try to get a meme so that they'll get on YouTube or something. It's really aggravating to me. Because it should be the other way around. You'd think it would be the other way around, but it's not.
Well, I think the thing is that kids, I think I remember this as a kid, kids don't really have the same sense of shame or sort of caution that adults have. So they don't really see what's wrong with asking straight-up questions like, when are you going to get married? Which is one of the classics I brought up when I was talking to somebody, as a kid. Adults have tact, so to speak, so we don't want to sort of ask them really tough questions, whereas, as I said, kids don't have tact.
Well, if you were a journalist at that panel, you would want to ask something like that.
Not if you're a modern games journalist or not.
Yeah.
Not if you're a modern games journalist, but if you're a real journalist.
Yeah.
Well, what real journalist is going to be covering a game show? That's kind of the problem with games journalism.
I can see George Weidman.
We're just getting off topic here.
I'm sorry.
I can see George Weidman.
Well, you see, if you're a real Scotsman, then you wouldn't ask the question.
Yeah, you'd eat salt with porridge. Anyway, let's press on to perhaps the biggest. Well, I'd say the second biggest, although it's not very much to go with on yet. Sonic is coming.
Sonic something R is
something
coming.
R is coming.
I'm almost positive that it's racing because
we know that it says racing.
We all know it's Sonic racism. It's going to be Sonic going around beating up.
It doesn't say racing.
Creatures.
It says raising. It's a chow raising game, guys.
Obviously.
My favorite edit is when someone tried to write Sonic Adventure 3 on it.
Oh god!
No, as far as KR raising, you can always do a mobile game like a Tamagotchi Pokemon combination thing.
Honestly, if they wanted to make a chow raising game, they'd just make it an iPhone game and charge microtransactions because that's what will happen.
Would it have an ambiguous, slightly hype building trailer like this, or teaser, I should say?
I find the deliberate use of the Sonic RR kind of frustrating. Because we know very well it's not going to be like a Sonic R2.
Well, what's wrong with it being Sonic Racing?
Well, I don't have a problem.
There's nothing wrong with it being Sonic. There's nothing wrong with it being Sonic Car Racing. It's just that Sonic RR gives me false impressions.
He just doesn't like that it's trying to tie itself to a very clearly, completely unrelated game.
Well, Sonic R is about Sonic Racing, isn't it? Except it's on foot, I guess.
Maybe but that's like
if they were using
Sonic R and Sonic will be running around
or something. It's
I mean, it's kind of awkward to have a title that's Sonic Racing when you've already released Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed.
Well, shouldn't it be like Sonic Drift 3? I don't know.
There's also the possibility that it'll be a racing game with just the core Sonic characters as well, without the other Sega IPs.
Exactly.
So Drift 3.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I wouldn't have an issue with that. I think that would actually be a neat direction for sort of.
I'm not saying that's necessarily bad. I'm just saying I find the branding a bit weird on this one.
I mean, will you be surprised if it turns out to be Sonic Riders 3?
I'd love if it turned out to be Sonic Riders 3 because
isn't Sonic Riders 3 like Sonic Riders on the
Sonic Free
Xbox
Riders, but we don't actually talk about that.
That never happened.
We don't talk about that one.
We don't talk.
Way out of hand.
We could also say that the whole point of the teaser was deliberate, sort of, to cause us kind of. I mean, it's a marketing thing. They're trying to cause. Oh, what is it? Could it be a racing game? Could it be?
It's going to be a racing game, by the way. It's not
everyone knows it's going to be a racing game.
I mean,
there was rumors about this before the teaser even happened.
Well, what we need to ask is that they said that this is not a sequel to anything that's come before. And it's like a new project, and it's not going to be like Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, I assume.
It's going to be it's just going to be a racing game, and it'll probably have a lot of Sonic characters. We don't know. I mean,
it's going to be Sonic Kart.
The thing is, let's not forget, Sonic Unleashed was going to be Sonic World Adventure. You know, Sonic's modern Sonic certainly, it's like modern Sonic's track record with sequel and titling and consistency in that regard is completely all over the place. So I think the fact that we're getting another Sonic racing game, but it's under a completely different title, is the least that bothers me. I mean,
I think a better example of what Bloke's talking about would be the fact that Heroes was called Adventure 3 until they decided to rename it because it was the first non-Sega Sonic game, or at least the first one that wasn't on a Sega console.
First multi-platform Sonic game, yeah.
What do we actually know about this new R game? Just literally what we saw in the trailer, or has there been other information released since then?
It's got a car, and that's about it. And it's got
that's all we know.
That's all we know, but we've heard about this before.
So what are you going to do if it's an on-foot racing game that's a tie-in to the shoes that are coming out?
Oh yes, the shoes. The new shoes by Puma, which don't look like Sonic shoes, so it's completely worthless.
The most important part of the panel.
Hey, I was actually really surprised and very grateful that they don't look like yet another red pair of shoes with a white stripe down the side, because I think like 15 companies have tried that.
Why can't they just make like actual big foamy slippers like Sonic shoes? Just do that.
There's plush versions of them you can get as slippers.
Oh, are there? Oh, fine.
Really?
Sorry. Didn't know.
I saw them.
How much? Where do I buy them?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm sure if you look online, you'll find them. But I was finding crazy old Sonic merchandise the other day, and I found like 3 or 4 different sets from different companies of those shoes.
I could definitely walk around the house in that.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy Sonic merchandise, have you seen the new Tomy Ultimate Classic Sonic figure?
No.
I've been interested in it. I've been looking around for some other accessories and like posters and whatnot.
Well, there's been Tomy just released like a modifiable like classic Sonic with a bunch of I'll put it in that little chat. Yeah, it's got like different mouths and all that. It looks quite cool. It's like one of those Japanese figures. Tomy is a Japanese company.
That looks pretty good, actually. It comes with a chili dog.
Yeah, you're right. And again, there's that one thing Sega Japan actually is willing to acknowledge that the Americans did. They added chili dogs.
It's the most important accessory, obviously. I mean, I wouldn't buy it if it didn't exist.
Well, here's the thing. That actually did not... Was that ever addressed in the original canon?
No, of course. Chili dogs were never in classic Sonic games.
Yeah, no,
so that's directly from... That's directly from either Sad AM or Adventures of or some other site.
Well, they put it in Black Knight. I think it was the first game.
Actually,
that's way later.
That's thing they took from American canon.
Way too many.
We're getting off topic, by the way. Sorry. Finally, going back to the panel, I think the other thing which was mentioned, apart from racing and shoes, was the Sega shop is selling an IDW Comics bundle, which basically gives you all the covers of the first issue and a free T-shirt or something like that.
A mystery T-shirt.
A mystery T-shirt with.
Is it a new design? Is it one of the existing ones? Who knows?
Probably a new design.
Also, they are having a Tails 25th anniversary thing.
Oh, the
And
Sega
you
shop.
should go buy his metal.
Yeah, on the
paint.
Sega Shop.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Tails
see-
25th anniversary collection.
Oh yeah, you can buy like the little, as I said earlier, the model sheet for Tails' facial expressions from Sonic Mania Adventures, which is cool
Yeah.
because it's got some good expressions on there.
Like the smug Tails.
Oh, yeah, the smug
which
Tails,
Tails
which
channel is using.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's a good smug face. But just to quickly backtrack to Sonic R for Sonic R something.
We actually do know a little bit more about it because Game Hut, the channel that from the guy who actually made Sonic
that's
R,
a good channel, by the way. Check it
made
out.
a video about it. He brightened up the image and he analyzed some details, which is really interesting. The R is not on the same level as the other letters, so they either increased it for the trailer or the R is exclusive for the trailer. But the rest of the letters have a similar font to the R, which means it could be exclusive.
Okay. I was going to gauge like what characters are likely to be in this.
Okay, let's think about this. If it's a Sonic Central racer, then obviously you want only characters from Sonic games. But here's the thing: you already have most Sonic characters in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, so you're basically cutting back on a lot of the appeal.
It's going to be everybody except Amy.
No, it'll be everybody except. Oh no! Do you think Jet will be in it? That's what I want to know.
Do you think Tangle will be in it?
They're going to add Jet and Blaze, and then Blaze and I will have basically no reason to care about the rest of the roster.
I don't know what they would do about Jet because this whole thing is the hoverboard. It would be pretty weird.
He'll just have
be
a
on the
hover
hoverboard.
car.
I would love to see Jet in the car being mad about it the whole time.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Jet's hover car. Yeah.
His car would just be a car built out of hoverboards.
What if it hovered off the ground like a hoverboard? That'd be neat.
That's
Okay, so it would be that car
with four
that
wheels
Sonic,
taped to it
Tails,
that
and
don't
Knuckles are
that
driving
don't
at the beginning of Zero Gravity.
Like it's a car that's just being suspended by a bunch of hoverboards strapped to the bottom.
Yeah.
It's just a hoverboard with four wheels glued to it that don't spin.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think maybe they're just going to try and rip off Mario Kart by being their own thing, I guess, I don't know.
It'd be cool if they
that
actually
really
acknowledged
seems
all the
like a
previous
funny
games like Drift and Riders.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun, like having different versions of Sonic's, car he could have.
That trailer with that live action car gave me the impression that they're going to try and replicate realistic cars. Well, not obviously realistic cars, but brands.
Maybe?
Yeah, it's just gonna be
actually,
proper street races.
Sonic racing with real, maybe it's a game where Sonic has to, go into the Formula 1 and actually, run against all the, I don't know, just like the opening of Sonic X. The first episode, I mean. I don't know. Anyway.
What if it's something totally insane, like you get to build and design your own cars out of badnik parts?
What, like that horrible game which we won't mention, which was a sequel to a certain 90s classic collectathon?
See, I was actually thinking more so of the Mega Man Battle and Chase than, Bird and Bear.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. But yeah, actually, customizable cars, just like Lego racers. I don't know.
Think of the DLC potential.
Yeah, I do you think they'll ever have some IDW stuff in it? But anyway, we're all getting ahead of ourselves, I guess. Let's talk about your panel, Rick. I mean, I've heard nothing about this, so this is all. So you're going to have to feed me all the information.
This was. It wasn't the panel. I hit up the Toronto Comic-Con this weekend to go and see Don Rosa, and Ian was a last-minute addition because he normally goes, but this year he said he wasn't, and then 2 days before the whole thing went off, he went. So I kind of just ran into him almost by coincidence, and we had a chat, and he was telling me some stuff because. I walked up and I was talking to him and I was like, hey, I missed the panel because I'm here. I think it's going on right now. So, is there anything you want to tell me that's going to get released? And you can be the first to break it to me. And he was telling me that the comics are going to introduce two characters. This is where it gets weird because he said the comics are going to introduce two characters that are going to get used in a new way but are going to appear somewhere else in another medium. So as a joke, I just went, I'm telling the internet that Ray and Mighty are going to be in Mania then. Because I figured he meant that Ray and Mighty were coming to the comics and Mania was the joke. But it turns out Mania was the real thing. So I assume Ray and Mighty are getting drafted into the comics.
Wow.
Okay.
But I don't know.
That's funny.
It could have been miscommunication, but we were sort of joking about Ray and Mighty, and he started talking about like prospective play styles. And I thought, he's winding me up because Ray and Mighty are going to be in the comics. So, obviously he can make stuff up about how they play in Mania. But I think I got it the wrong way around. So that might be secret news. I don't know.
So what did he say about how they would play in Mania?
Oh, he was just saying stuff like, Mighty would get Knuckles' wall break ability, or Ray would take Knuckles' glide, but how else would you, define the two of them and make them different? He was mostly talking about how Ray's shoes are blue and it's a tie-in and things like that, and he was just, really excited that if that was actually true, then he got to contribute something to the games.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And he also was telling me about IDW as well.
What's IDW getting
apparently
up to?
IDW were completely floored at the response that they got to buying the license. And this is, the guys who own, Ghostbusters and all the rest of it.
Well, apparently
they're
in some trouble now, so they're probably quite relieved.
Were they expecting negative or just no response?
No,
at all?
apparently, this is what I thought was kind of weird because they've picked up a whole bunch of other licenses. So you'd imagine they would be used to Rabbit 8 fan bases or 90s fan bases coming to them going, "Hey, we want to buy this." But apparently, when they picked up the Sonic license, they were not expecting the sheer volume nor the emotion that came out of these people. So he was like, they took a step back, kind of like, "Wow, this is one big passionate fan base." And, they weren't expecting it to be, I guess, as well responded to as it was.
Why do people always underestimate the Sonic fan base?
I think Sega...
Surely it's common knowledge at this point that the
it's
Sonic
not necessarily the case.
It's not necessarily
Sega...
the case that they underestimate them. It's the fact that they don't want to admit that they can do good sometimes.
No. Not like that. Yeah. I mean, underestimate the sort of... The sheer passion that Sonic fans can show, people, or just sort of underestimate I guess underestimate how big Sonic can be to some people.
It's clear that Sega, Archie, whoever else was working on the franchise just didn't know, as far as I could tell. I mean, they clearly weren't engaged with the fan base on the level that they needed to be able to make decisions to sell to that fan base. At this point, I mean that's the clearest option that I could see.
When IDW picked up the license, they went big with it, right? They were all over social media. They bought the front page of Previews magazine to announce a month of one comic a week, right? They went big, and they got the response they were hoping for. People came, they were saying, people who. There's a certain level of interest in the series, working on it and, buying it. And that came back in a huge way when they announced it. Because they were more people than ever are like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Sonic." So people who were never applying to work on the book when it was with Archie, maybe they didn't see it. Maybe it was under the radar. I don't know. But there's more people than ever now gunning for a spot on that book or trying to get involved with it somehow, or just, generally spreading good vibes about it than there has ever been. So I think IDW's reach really worked.
Good.
People were tired of Archie as well.
And hopefully if that stuff gets back to Sega, then maybe some stuff from the comics might start working its way into the games, or I don't know, something might happen. But it seems like Sega are finally getting told by both Weber and hopefully IDW that people are interested, stuff is coming.
Yeah. I'm surprised it took this long for the fan base to really start to filter into the corporate level of things, because you'd think there'd be some communication or some level of understanding.
Let's not forget, Ian
the thing is,
the
series is 30 years old at this point, so this is about the point where the people who grew up with the series are actually of age and of skill to actually end up in the company.
Yeah, this is where the fans start running the asylum.
Which is what we need, because Sega, obviously, they don't have the budget to be hiring real professional developers, because if you look at Sonic Force's credits, that's obviously the case.
Yeah.
But Rick, I mean, do you think this might mean that we're finally going to get some conclusion to Sonic Underground or Adventure Sonic Hedgehog or anything?
Honestly,
I like how you phrased that.
If IDW's track record is anything to go by, I reckon we'll get a year or so of the main series. There'll be a second book, guaranteed. There's too many people clamoring to work on this book that they won't make a second one, right? IDW always does this for the big franchises like Ninja Turtles and stuff. Yeah. And at some point, I would expect them to make a move to try and buy some of the Archie back canon to print. I don't know if they'll finish up Underground, but I guarantee you they'll put out Mega Drive.
Well, just for reprints alone,
stuff up.
like color reprints of all the early comics could be very lucrative. I mean, I would buy an omnibus edition of all the old comics. I mean, that would be a full omnibus edition, like $80 or $90 for hardback, like even if it's a soft cover.
Hey Rick,
you will probably get IDW are big on the artist editions, right?
Yeah.
Like where they do the giant prints with the original comic boards and print them like in color.
Yes.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And stuff. Imagine if you got like a Mega Drive full-sized hardcover like artist edition.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be amazing.
Assuming that Archie didn't just burn everything in there.
And reprints are always something that Archie has struggled with, because I remember like the actual graphic novels that they were trying to put out, like they only put one out for the main series like every 2 years.
Yeah, they were having problems with that because there was a lot of material to cover in the trades that and to be fair, I mean, the ones that they released were pretty good. They were high quality for the most part, and they covered enough of the arc, of whatever they were trying to print.
And think about it, right? If IDW's first arc is 4 issues and they're doing 4-issue trades at like 90 to 128 pages, they can have a trade out in the first 6 months.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I mean, they're probably preparing to do exactly that. I think the Sega Shop's already selling, the first 4-issue arcs.
Did you guys already know? I think Tyson's doing 4 covers. I don't know if they interlock or not, but he's doing 4 alternate covers for the first 4 issues.
Yeah, they mentioned that in the panel, and yes, they do interlock.
Speaking of Tyson Hess, I feel like we didn't really talk about Sonic Mania Adventures at all.
We kind of brushed over it.
We did talk about Sonic Mania Adventures, didn't we?
We kind of brushed over it.
I mean, we did brush over it.
I don't think we brushed over it. I mean...
Well, there's not much to say until we start seeing more of it. Well, we know that it's going to be
we saw the trailer, and I think everybody who's listening to us has seen the trailer. It's, Sonic on Angel Island, Eggman flies over, Sonic runs off, and that's about it. I mean, we saw some very good, model sheets. We've seen him.
We could speculate a little bit. Like, what if this leads into a Sonic Mania 2? Like by the time it ends, it's a trailer for a new game.
I doubt
the possibility for a franchise, a real new Sonic franchise in the vein of Mania, is definitely a possibility. I hope that actually becomes the case, or becomes even the canon, sort of taking over. Because unfortunately, what we've seen so far is basically rehashing. We've seen nothing. I mean, we've seen some new levels and whatnot in Sonic Mania, some new environments, but there hasn't really been, like, they keep showing Angel Island. Like, even in the new adventures, like, all they're showing in the promo material is Angel Island.
Well, I mean,
Well, we'll see.
The more important thing is, when are we going to get Vector and SBO and Charmian and just get a Chaotix DLC pack for Mania?
When you have no idea how much I want that.
Am I one of the few people that actually enjoy Chaotix? I mean, I know that the gameplay was a little wonky sometimes, but...
Yes.
Chaotix was bad, but I like how I like a lot of the characters in it, like mechanically.
I mean, it was some interesting gameplay, if nothing else. I mean,
you guys are missing the most important issue. When are we going to get Honey the Cat playable in Sonic Mania?
That's a good question, actually, because I would like to say, unfortunately, I think these Archie canons, because the Honey characterization from the Fighters arc in the Archie comic, I would love to see that continued in game form.
I think we're sort of getting away from...
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to talk about, really.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm sorry, Realms of Fantasy.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the majority of stuff that I discussed with Ian at the show.
All right, then. What is anything else for you to say, then? I think that, as you're right, we've covered everything. Unless there's something else somebody wants to say. Speculation.
Shiny
boxes, yes.
Buy as many copies of Sonic Mania as you can. Show them where the money is at, please.
Yes.
I'll buy a copy, don't you worry.
This is actually going to be my third purchase. I bought it
Oh,
on
and
PC.
also
I bought
submit
it on
as many
PS4.
Steam reviews as you can, saying that the game should have had completely original zones, so that Mania 2 doesn't have to recycle everything from Sonic 2 and 3 again.
Yes. I'll second that.
Remember, buy those shoes. Those shoes, it's very important. Okay.
Oh, yes,
Buy those
The
shoes.
shoes are the most important thing. It's where the entire IP hangs upon.
If those shoes are going to be for Green Hill, does this mean if they sell well, we'll get maybe chemical plant shoes next?
Yeah.
good.
I'm personally looking forward to the Marble Hill
With
Zone.
real chemicals.
Why do I?
I want
why do I
purple
keep
shoes
getting
with,
that
like,
wrong?
tubes
Is it
with
Marble
ooze
Garden
going
Zone or
through.
Marble? What is it? Is it Marble Hill?
The one with the actual
Marble Garden?
Marble
Marble?
Garden Zone, like the second level in Sonic 1.
That's Marble Hill, I believe.
No, it's not Marble Hill.
Marble Garden
Marble-
is the worst
Marble
level.
Garden
Sonic
is
3
3,
level.
Marble
Yes.
Zone is 1.
Marble Zone. It's just Zone. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Maybe.
I
Yeah,
just keep
the
calling it
lava
Marble
and
Hill.
crushing things zone didn't go down too well as a title.
Trust me, bloke. I've heard too many people say Marble Hill Zone for me to be completely as blessed that you called it Marble Garden instead.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something. Anyway, so, I mean, do you? We touched on this a little bit before, but do you think it's possible we could get is it too much to hope for an actual, like, a full animated series of Sonic Mania Adventures? I think that is a big ask.
Well,
I hope
yeah,
this
that
is
is
a
okay.
start.
If
I
we
hope we're
do
moving
get a
towards
fully
that.
animated series, it's definitely not going to be on the level of Adventures because that'd just be way too much work.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean, just
Are we
imagine-
talking about like the equivalent of a Saturday morning card? I mean, obviously that doesn't exist anymore, but the whole, maybe getting a half-hour show.
Well, I don't think a half hour show. Like, I can imagine an 11-minute show, sort of.
That's more likely.
I can't see a full show with because we know that Adventures is not going to have any dialogue.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you can do that for an entire series without it getting stale.
That's
What
true.
are you
think you
gonna
might be
do
able
if
to-
the actual episode starts and you get like 3 minutes into the episode, no dialogue, and then suddenly just Jaleel White kicks in?
I'd be okay with that.
I'll be okay with it.
Like, yes, the ultimate nostalgia, they're bringing it all back.
Oh, please, no.
No.
we'll
No,
see
the
what
question is,
happens.
can Jaleel White still do
I
the
f-
voice?
He can't. We know he can't because when he did the movie, remember
To
that
be
fan
fair,
movie?
To be
Can't do
fair,
it
he
anymore.
probably-
Oh, yeah, that
To be
too.
They
fair, he
hired
probably
him
didn't
for
have the
that?
right
I don't
direction.
know.
Maybe.
That is
Has he got a
different,
kid?
so.
Even when he did Sonic Underground, like he had lost his voice because you got to remember when he
Does
did
Jaleel White
Sonic.
have a kid?
Yeah, like
You
a
gotta
kid or a
remember-
cousin or something.
That's a good point.
When White did Sonic in 1993, he was only 15. So,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
So
it was
that's why he did the voice back then. But when he got to Underground, he lost it like because he grew up.
Yeah. So, anyway,
Basically, voice actors only come back for stuff like this if they were either already like past their vocal development or
that's a good point.
yeah.
or if they
Anyway,
can
I
just
think
still do the voice
we've
because
we sort of run the course here.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. I think we've made a fairly decent a stab at a soft reboot, whatever we're doing here. A comeback special. Maybe we should have some more glitz and glamour. I'm sorry, I was a bit rusty at the start. Mania, yeah. PodFAST
Honestly,
Mania
though, like,
Plus.
Looking good, right? Like, I mean, when you think about it, we thought Mania was going to sort of be like a dying spark, and the next thing you know, they're doubling down with physical editions. They're putting out more animations because they saw how jazzed people were for the opening. Like, they're actually
Exactly.
Actually,
this seems to be
here's
picking up
something.
speed rather than sort of fading out at this point.
Here's
It's a
something
combination of
I
it's a
am-
combination
I just
of
want
fan base
to-
reaching out and Sega actually listening. So it's
I
that
am-
perfect sort of mesh.
I am actually both terrified and eager to see what they do with modern at this point.
He would be in Sonic something. But what I was going to say is, do you think, for Sega of Sonic Mania Plus, they'll actually animate the ending, like, properly?
I hope so.
I do
God,
hope
I hope
so.
so. I hope we can get proper cutscenes too. Like,
Yeah, that would
Oh
be cool.
yes, that would be good. Just having like little animated, and maybe animated cutscenes between the levels which didn't have transitions. Because remember how some levels like just went from one to the other, especially towards.
I don't
the
think it
end.
would even be that hard for some of them.
Oh yeah, it'll
Like
be
you
fun.
wouldn't even have to make all of them like Phantom Ruby shenanigans either.
Now, let me ask this. Do you think that Sonic Mania Plus will have de novo?
Probably.
Yes.
I would expect so. I think at this point they're kind of. I mean, they already paid for it. I don't know how the licensing works.
I don't know. It was kind of a PR disaster.
Well, it was a PR disaster. Not to mention the fact that it was cracked within a week after it was released with de novo. I mean,
yeah,
it's not. The problem is that publishers are not moving away from DRM, despite the fact that even the really expensive, supposedly foolproof versions are still getting cracked on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's.
Well, because it's I don't know.
Maybe it does increase sales for the first week or two, and maybe that's what they really care about. I'm hoping that Sega's making rational decisions here, that they actually have numbers that we can't see that explain why they're doing this. Not to say that that's not still a PR disaster and that DRM is still a complete pile of but
Can you not swear?
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, oops.
Doesn't matter. I'll send this. We're going so well. Anyway,
slip that in there. Sorry.
God, I need to download all the old Sonic 1 sound effects. So, any other news people want to talk about? I mean,
as far as news, I think we covered everything that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I mean,
likewise.
The Sonic movie release date.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sonic movie release date.
Do we have a release date?
Yes,
November 2019.
2019. Sorry, November 2019. That was trying to everyone not speak at the same time.
Okay, we've actually had multiple release dates for this movie, so it's not really anything big.
Yeah.
It's also. I mean, they're talking about having the producer of. I mean, they've got some good names. Or the director. I forget exactly what. Director.
They're really pushing the Deadpool connection.
They're trying to push that. They have good names working on it. They're trying to build up faith in it. But the fact is, it's a mixed. Unless I've missed something like some new news, it's a mixed live action CG.
Yeah.
And that does not. I mean, it feels like.
I mean, like when you think of that, you can't not think of stuff like the Smurfs or Hop
or that Adam Sandler movie with the
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Guys. I think that. Well, yeah. I think yes, there's a precedent there. At the same time, I don't know. I think wait until we actually see some trailers before we start saying, "Oh God, this is the end of the universe."
Oh yes, I'm gonna be all over the keyboards.
Well, here's the question: what audience are they really appealing to? Do they think a general audience that would go to see? I mean, are they trying to capture the
Honestly,
parents? Yes. That's what it feels like.
I would argue.
Actually, no, wait. I remember something. They mentioned the fact that Sonic's going to be in that awful, nostalgia.
Oh, Ready Player One
film. Ready Player One, which is like the most cynical. I mean, I actually read the book.
Remember the 80s?
Yes, exactly. It's like
I've not read the book.
You made a movie.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, remember Iron Giant?
Oh, God.
I remember.
Remember King Kong? Remember Ferris Bueller?
I've not read the book, but I've heard
Remember the invasion of Guatemala?
Remember Transform? Oh wait.
Remember Weird Science?
Joe, I'm gonna stop you right there. I have read the book, and it reads like a bad fan fiction.
Oh yes,
I've heard that. The book was reasonably well reviewed. The sequel supposedly was complete hot garbage, but I was told the first one was okay. I guess that's not
the first one. The first one relies way too heavily upon your nostalgia and you having knowledge of things that have happened in movies beforehand.
So even the book is pandering. Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
So basically,
they literally describe a fight scene as it's like the character is like, "Do you remember that scene?" And I can't even remember, but it's literally just, "You remember that scene in this movie?" Yeah, it was that, except I had a laser sword.
Question: is it played straight, or is it played as a meta commentary on that sort of thing?
He wants to say it's a meta commentary, but it's played straight.
That's well, that's true. That's
ooh, that's nasty.
It's painful.
Ah, yes.
The only thing that would make me feel better about that movie is if they just turned around and went, "Yeah, we gave it to the Lego Movie guys."
I mean, honestly, if there was a Lego Sonic movie, I'd watch it.
Oh, sorry,
Did you see the Lego Batman
I thought you were talking
movie?
about Ready Player One for a second. Or were you? I don't know.
So what?
I was wondering. I said I thought you were talking about Ready Player One, and being given over to the Lego Movie guys.
No, I mean the Sonic movie, right? Like, did you see the Lego Batman movie? Like, that was just pure wall-to-wall, like, references and in-jokes, but the thing was actually funny. Like, at that level.
You reference it well.
They made jokes, not references.
Exactly.
It just happened to have references.
Yeah, and the whole thing was done really well, right? Because even though they threw stuff in that was blatantly to sell toys, it was done in a way that was also kind of like a cute nod to what came before it, rather than just now we have to have the costume change section because we need to sell more toys. But they actually made it into jokes, which worked.
I actually laughed out loud when Condiment Man came on. Got that one.
You have to be careful though with that sort of thing, because it's becoming easy enough. I don't say easy enough to make it an acceptable movie, but there's movies like was it Game Night that Sony just released that was actually a halfway decent, amusing movie. It's still complete marketing. They still have Tostitos slapped on every place they can. They're showing board games by name. They're trying to push products. They're trying to, it's still. I still feel a little bit of cynicism behind that sort of thing. So I think we need to be careful with getting enthusiastic about movies like that. I guess
product placement is
Batman
nowadays.
It's harder to see the cynicism, and that's what worries me.
Yeah, well,
like the Lego Batman tread that line very carefully. Like, for example, there's a scene later on where Alfred puts on the Adam West Batman suit, and for a fact it's just so they can have an Adam West Batman variant toy. And it's kind of like, but at the same time, it does sort of work, and it's kind of cute. It's not just blatantly, hey, we needed a fourth bat suit to be a fourth collection part toy thing.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm just fascinated to see how this whole thing will play out.
I can't not think of the Ratchet and Clank movie where
everybody forgot.
And I think it's notable. It's notable to say that Ratchet and Clank has always been a series that is targeted towards teenagers and sort of young adults. I mean, obviously kids too, but it had an attitude that was pretty edgy.
Up your arsenal, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. So when the Ratchet and Clank movie came out, they actually toned down Ratchet's character to be more likable and kid-friendly.
But hasn't Sonic already been toned down?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, but
compared to early incarnations, yeah, definitely.
But I think that I think that there's precedent for a series that has historically been pretty edgy being toned down for general kids when it comes to theaters. And when Sonic comes to theaters, we'll probably see something that's a lot more like Colors and a lot less like Forces or even Adventure, maybe.
We'll see.
So he's not going to be as sassy as Fleetway then?
I definitely don't think that it's going to be like the Adventure games.
I don't know. I think it could go, and the thing is, it could just go anywhere. It could just be a stupid Alvin and the Chipmunks type thing, or it could be a very sort of, I wouldn't say somber, but sort of they actually try and take the whole thing seriously, and it ends up becoming embarrassingly weird. I'm trying to think of, I don't know, the Fantastic Four film. I don't know.
Well, at this point, it's clear. It's clear that they're Sega does not have a problem running one-off, one-off franchise splitters. I guess if we're talking about a movie, a comic, it's split so many different ways. They could run it up as a one-off Alvin and the Chipmunks style movie. Just something to get kids in and eating popcorn. That's that's probably the likely situation. Given
what if it's like the Mario Brothers movie?
I'd be okay with that. I actually liked the way they took that movie.
I like that film. Yeah,
it's people on it. It was not a great movie, but there was effort. Oh, sorry.
You know what I would love to see? I would hope that they wait until the Mario movie comes out, and then when whatever the Sonic movie turns out to be, but they just rail on the ad campaign just like they did with this is better than the Mario movie, which is terrible.
Wait, there's a Mario movie coming out?
Yeah, there's a Mario movie that's been announced. I don't know if we've got a date on it, but I'm really hoping that the guys who do the Sonic movie wait until after that and release the Sonic movie to almost be like a reaction to it. Just when they did the games, right? And then they can put the whole hokey ad campaign out and, say Nintendo can come back and you can have this whole...
I don't think that's possible because the Sonic movie is already well into development, and I think they just got started on the Mario movie.
Well, they have a shot.
I also don't think that's going to happen because Sega likes to have good PR with Nintendo these days.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
the
if their
Sonic movie
marketing
just
teams are on
studio.
point, that's. I think there's enough nostalgia that Nintendo and Sega might profit from that.
Well, I mean, even in Sonic's social media, Sonic will rail on Mario like cheekily from time to time. So I don't think there's any harm in
Vice
that.
versa.
Yeah, plus
Yeah,
Nintendo's
there's-
totally changing, right? Like they've completely
there's
changed their
nothing.
game plan in the last couple of years. I mean, mobile phone games, that was a
Yeah.
no-no back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the current CEO of Nintendo is like he
I
is
think they'd
no
enjoy it.
nonsense. He is turning it up to 11.
I think they could genuinely make a good ad campaign out of a revival of the console wars. It would be great for social media campaigns.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
God.
just
People throwing
just-
messages back and
Jeez,
forth and
no.
advertising your stuff for you, and that's what Web 2.0 is all about.
Just some gentle ribbing between the companies, just a few like, hey, remember when you made this really bad game? Ha-has.
I mean, it's clearly pandering to a certain audience, but that's what
Mm.
marketing is. I'd rather be pandered to than just be ignored. If there's going to be advertising, I have to see.
I don't know. I'd rather
Might
be
as well make it
ignored.
entertaining.
I'm one
No,
of those
baby.
types. I don't know.
Not like I watch much
I mean,
advertising anyway.
people often
Imagine
say that.
the world in which Sonic was still trying to compete with Nintendo and got a chance to make fun of Mario Sunshine for being the lame pile of garbage it is.
Yes, but what was I going to say? I mean, people rib on me for like wanting AOSTH to be in like everything, but honestly, I'm happy for it to not exist anymore. I'd rather it be done well than I'd rather something be done well or not at all. I don't want to be sort of just given like a half,
Yeah, you don't want to.
You don't want to be cynically pandered. You don't want to be cynically pandered to. You want it to be somewhat sincere if they're going to make the effort. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want something that's actually worthwhile rather than just something for the sake of having something.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Then you're definitely in the wrong franchise.
Oh yeah. But
I can't argue with that.
I mean, that's sort of why I want there to be an AOSTH IDW like mini-series book or something, but at the same time, I want to be written by somebody who actually likes the series.
I mean, I feel kind of the same way about something else. Like, I want there to be a Beta Ray Bill movie for Marvel, but at the same time, I don't want it to be anything like they've been putting out recently.
And that's the
Bill
trouble.
just goes to get a coffee. Oh, you have a horse head. Quip, quip. Why the long face? Quip, quip. This summer.
It would be nice to have some of the old.
You want a Marvel
characters.
movie that isn't a Marvel movie, basically.
I want one that's good.
Well, hey,
I'd be
let's not
okay.
forget, Winter Soldier wasn't very quippy. I don't know. Well, I think we have, reached a point in the conversation where we shall have to bid you all, I think, a good evening, I'd say. Unless there's one more thing you want to say or plug or whatever. Anything? Well, we'll go around the table.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel.
We'll do it in just a second. Okay.
Subscribe to his YouTube channel and hopefully mine when I decide to finally write my script.
Yeah, me too. I got one.
Yeah, and I've probably got one, I think, somewhere.
Give me a Kirby movie, you Hollywood hacks.
Follow.
Give him a Kirby movie.
Also,
today.
tell Sega to make me the new voice director.
And,
Saturday of season 31.
And I IDW that
Dubs is
I
gonna
should
save
write
Sonic
an
the Hedgehog?
AOSTH comic because I totally could do that. I've written scripts probably. I know seriously,
Dude,
I could do it.
Like with IDW taking
also
over, this is
Boost
probably
is better
the
than
highest
Adventure
change
Fight
ever
Me.
in an AOSTH book.
I didn't hear any of that, Rick. I'm afraid.
With IDW taking over, this probably is the one time in the past 30 years you'd be the closest to seeing an AOSTH book, even if it's only like a one issue, like free comic book day thing.
I'd write for it, please. IDW, just let me write it. I don't know. Anyway, so from me, Fattoler, it's a good evening. From Rick.
I'm not going to tell you how to enjoy yourself, but go do it.
Okay, we were, Fattoler, Rick, Definitive Dubs.
Hello, subscribe to my channel. I do Sonic stuff sometimes, every few months.
Yep, he does. Panzer.
What?
I don't know, do you want to say goodbye or go knock yourself? I don't know.
No.
Okay. Schloes.
Remember, kids, shipping is a sucker.
Yes. And Negative Man.
Who isn't unoriginal.
Yeah, we don't bring us up anymore. Squigzog.
Just so long, folks.
Okay, and again, it was yours truly, fattoler, hosting, and hopefully we'll be back on schedule. Sorry this was such a wishy-washy comeback special, I guess. See you all, and have a good evening.
And don't forget to buy the shoes.
Yeah, buy the shoes.